What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are here with another Detroit Lions video, of course, but today we are here to dive into the All-22 from the Lions' 26-20 win over the LA Rams. And today we're going to be focusing on the offensive side of the ball, which has had a lot of talk over the last few days about Amon-Ra St. Brown maybe not being involved enough in the offense, Jameson Williams taking off in this game, how did Jared Goff perform, but also the offensive line. Because while we have a lot of familiar faces, we do have a new addition to that, which is Kevin Zeitler. And I thought this offensive line performed incredibly well in this game, especially run blocking, and today I wanted to highlight a few of those plays in today's video. Now, I'm going to try my best not to show too many plays from the video that I posted on Tuesday because I don't want to just overlap and show you the same play again, but this is the All-22 version, so we'll be able to peek at some other things, and then kind of just my takeaways, my thoughts on how Jared Goff performed in this game, the good, the bad, all of those things. So, without wasting any more time, let's dive right into this. Before we get into today's video, gotta give a shout out to our sponsor for this NFL season and for today's video, BetUS, man. Make sure you use promo code YouTube150. It'll be in the description below, YouTube150, to get a 150% deposit match on your first 3 deposits. No longer using the link, just use that promo code and take advantage of an awesome offer that's better than even what shows up on the website. And at very least, man, create an account, check it out. You can see some of the live betting things. We're here before the season, of course. They have the team to be the last team undefeated, and I thought that was a super interesting one for the Lions. But one that really stands out to me as of now that we're a week into the season, not this one, NFL worst regular season record. I ain't messing with that. But instead, over here, most wins. Now, if y'all know, y'all probably do know, I got the Lions going 14-3 this season. And if that is the case, I think it's very possible that they have the most wins in the NFL. Doesn't mean they have the easiest schedule, but at 14-3, they could absolutely finish with the best record in the NFL. I think it's very possible, especially if the AFC is kind of beating up on each other. I think that'll definitely be the number 1 seed in the NFC. And part of that would be beating San Fran, which would give us even better chance to get to that number 1 seed on the NFC side. And right now, that's currently at plus 900. You can see Kansas City heavy favorites. San Francisco is about half of those odds. So I think right now is a good opportunity to still get in while it's a pretty good deal at plus 900. So for example, if I were to say, let's drop 50-piece, let's go a 50-piece chicken nugget on a plus 900 odds. If this happens, we could win $450. So let's place that bet over here with BetUS and lock that thing in for the season, man. I love that bet. If you want to go check it out, again, YouTube 150, 150% deposit match on your first 3 deposits, and they have a lot of other choices as well. Casino games, racebook, BetUS TV, all those things to check out. Also, before we get to this video, I do want to showcase that we have some new merch. So I came up with a pretty fire design. I think it's pretty fire. It's simple, but it's slick. And I'm going to show it on my screen right now because I just ordered mine. If you want to get your own, go to Dodge Shop on Google. Just look it up, DOD, capital DOD shop, or click the link in the description and check it out, man, because right now on the website are your Jameson Williams over Tyreek Hill shirts. Now, you see we got the little cloud in there because it's speed, okay? We're talking about a guy that can absolutely roll, and after week 1, I just couldn't help but be like, you know what? We got to come up with something fire here. Want your JMO over Tyreek shirts? Jump on it right now because it's available on the website. All right, now let's get to the video. The key takeaways that I had for Jared Goff in this game, and there was some good, there was some bad. One of the bad/good was that Jared Goff usually is going to play to the game plan. We know Goff wants to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and a lot of the good in this one from Goff's debut to me was a lot about, you could tell that there was a lot of repetitions with these guys. Like, you can see visibly the improvements. The routes that we would throw in the past were accurate. You had Jared Goff and Jameson Williams clearly on the same page pretty much all game long, which in the past it was usually a little hit and miss. Easy throws would be off. That wasn't the case in this game. Those guys were on the same page. And then also Goff, in terms of just footwork, in terms of his dropbacks, not fading in his dropbacks within the pocket, I thought all of those things looked really crisp in week 1. And that was awesome to see that, to where that was in this game, because to me that just kind of showcased the reps that he had, the practice that they had in the offseason, and they clearly put the time in to dial this thing in offensively. That being said, it wasn't all perfect, and some of this could have been game plan related. For one, I thought that Goff in this game did a really nice job of getting from read 1 to read 2, but a lot of things kind of stopped after read 2. I didn't think he expanded or navigated too much beyond into that third read. It was like 1, 2, and then maybe I'll take off on the play, which was nice. We saw the usage of some of the athleticism that he has. Like, he was a little bit willing to kind of take off and utilize his legs and get outside the pocket, but it was very stuck within read 1 and read 2, which I thought led to some issues within his eyes a little bit. Didn't get extremely deep into his progressions, which he could have, where he didn't maybe utilize his legs to kind of navigate and say, let me get beyond this second read a little bit. And I don't know that it was a lack of trust in the offensive line. maybe he was just kind of feeling that out after the early sack, but I thought more so probably for the game plan of like, hey, we're playing the Rams, we're throwing on early downs, we want to stay on top of the chains, we don't want to get in third and long against this team, because that's the issues that they're going to present, is that they are just made up of pass rushers. Again, to the positive side was that I thought he threw with a lot of anticipation in this game. There were multiple throws where he was making the read and letting it rip before the guy would get out of the breaks. You saw a lot of quick release opportunities from Goff. The flip side, again, I thought there was a clear like internal clock. I got to get the ball out of my hands. I don't want to get to number 3, and I thought we left some things on the table because of that, and we clearly missed some open reads that could have been there potentially, especially when you get to like the checkdowns, because he was kind of stuck between 1 and 2 and not getting to 3 or 4 within his progression. So again, good and bad from Goff in this debut. In this first one, I won't spend really much time here at all here, but you get the short motion. You're going to see Jameson Williams. He's right here on Lake, which was obviously a guy that we went after in this game, and he's going to run this deep crossing route. The Rams are going to play a coverage that they didn't play a ton of in this game. They actually did a lot of what, again, they had success with last time we played LA, which was last year, so we were right on that kind of thing, which was a lot of that cover 3 match coverage. Here they go into what looks like more of your pure cover 1 look. You have your underneath kind of rat linebacker. Linebacker tries to pass it off between each other here for Dave Montgomery, but it doesn't happen. They kind of get caught in a bind. One thing that I like from LA was I thought that the linebacker position did a really nice job of not focusing as much on Jared Goff's eyes and more so about reading through progressions, finding crossing routes, getting really good depth, especially on play action sets, really good depth and coverage and kind of trying to force things underneath. So I thought they did a really nice job of that. And when you see a play like this, you see how much a guy like Jameson Williams actually had Lake beat on this crossing route right here at the bottom of the screen, because again, they utilized the motion. They almost created kind of a natural pick. They drug him across the field, which is something that LA did to us last season when we faced them. But with the separation that was created here between Jameson Williams and Quentin Lake, when Amon-Ra St. Brown makes his break at the top of the route here where he gets matched up on John Johnson, the safety, which again we talked about in the preview video, was like, hey, they'll interchange their safeties, they'll allow those guys to step in and play man coverage. It's why Lake does it as well. They're very comfortable with doing things like that. They see the route for Dave Montgomery open up if Goff would have found this check down. Now we had the blown assignment here on the interior with the stunt, which was, just a lot of quickness and speed here from the outside in. He's going to loop around back inside. Kevin Zeitler here at right guard, just slightly late to kind of pick this up. Frank Ragnow's occupied. They showed the blitz pre-snap. He's going the other direction. It's a little bit late to kind of pick up this looping stunt back inside, and that leads to the pressure. But again, he would have had Montgomery here, but you could see what Goff is looking at, where seemingly he wants to hit Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jameson Williams has kind of yet to clear on a play like this, so he wants to hit this dig route one-on-one in man coverage. It's a fine read in front of the free safety. The issue is the pocket collapses, and he doesn't actually find David Montgomery. So even though they get their linebackers kind of into a bind here underneath, and they create confusion, and you get a wide open route, he's kind of, again, stuck to progressions in a play like this, and he ends up taking the sack because of that on our first third down. Now, over to the run game, and I don't have a ton of plays here. We usually don't show a ton of run plays, but I did want to show a few in this video because I thought, man, we talked about the versatility in Tuesday's video of like the different schemes that they can run offensively. I thought there was a lot of good from a lot of different players. I thought Taylor Decker did really well run blocking, which again, a guy we usually don't point to for that he did really well run blocking in this game. Frank Ragnow, the amount of kind of like underrated plays that he made as a run blocker in this game, like for example here, Lions go to the split zone look, so they're using Sione Vaki to cut block right here on the backside on Michael Hoyt, and you get this outside zone look, but you see Frank Ragnow with the reach block. He's able to reset himself right in front of the nose tackle, which was great because that was a challenge last time we faced him, was Bobby Brown at nose tackle. Even after he shifts into the one technique, he reaches and gets in front of this block. Get a little bit of a mess here on the front side of where this run is going, with the edge rusher kind of stepping in and Jared Verse, but Laporta then lays the block, and then he gets up to the second level, which allows Dave Montgomery to bounce and get upfield. Also, the receivers were blocking. You see JMO here, but he was a very willing blocker in this game, and that was cool to see. It wasn't like a one-play thing. He did this a lot in that game, so you end up creating a free lane. You're getting a lot of yards before contact, and the Lions had a lot of run plays like this. For example, here, Lions go into a counter pull run. Again, another key, and this is why I predicted Montgomery was going to score a touchdown first. Now, that didn't happen, is because I thought we down blocked these smaller defensive ends and work off of that with a guy like Penei Sewell pulling, and we tried things like that. In this case, we're going to pull Zeitler, and what you notice with Zeitler is definitely not the best athlete on the offensive line in terms of just movement skills, and at times, there were a couple times where I thought it got him into trouble where the Lions would go just like straight outside zone left, and because of that, he would be a little bit caught behind on the play, and he wouldn't be able to get to the reach block, and they'd slant it, and they get upfield, and they create penetration. It would kind of spill our running back outside. However, here's a puller, again, not the best athlete. That being said, though, you see a lot of control within his game, which is crucial for an offensive lineman. Watch him get up here to the linebacker at the second level, the control that he comes in under with here to get contact cleanly on the play, not be called for holdings downfield, which the amount of times that our offensive linemen were at that second level, we weren't called for holdings like that, so that was fantastic as well. Counter runs, the eye candy that the Lions utilized to kind of pause these linebackers. They had a ton of success with that, and you could see the counter runs. Even the ones that didn't work, you could see the idea, and then they would just kind of get stopped for whatever reason. We'd have a blown block, but you could see it on paper, and it was going to have success. And you see Brock Wright with the down block again here. He shoots up to the second level, gets a block on Reader, and you can again see the lane that's created for Dave Montgomery before he even gets contacted. So we'll show a couple more of those, but run blocking was incredibly impressive. So when you talk about the versatility, which I think is going to make the Lions very difficult going forward, because for whoever they're facing, they're going to have to deal with everything, and the Lions can, again, pick guys they want to attack. They can lean into that, and they can have a lot of versatility in who they are. They're not just a zone team or just a gap team. They can be very flexible in terms of their run scheme and find success in a lot of different ways. And then again, they have the backs behind it, which can do all of the different things as well. So you have the playmakers that can kind of fit to that. Now, here would be a play early in the game where the Lions utilize this screen. They're going to run a screen quick. They're going to utilize this jet motion for St. Brown to try to get this extra blocker. And a lot of times, the LA Rams playing cover 6, cover 4, you would overload this zone coverage. You cut block here with a guy like Taylor Decker, and then you get an extra blocker, and all of a sudden it was an easy pickup. Well, here on a 3rd and 2, you're going to see that Lake is going to motion across here with Amon-Ra St. Brown, which doesn't allow the Lions to kind of overload this side of the coverage like they typically would. Plus, on top of that, you just get a straight blown block here from Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this one where it's like, okay, maybe we see that motion, we check out of it, but I can understand why they still ran it because of where Lake is at, where if a guy like St. Brown maybe lands a clean block here, it's still enough room for Jameson to just get upfield and at least pick up the 2 yards that you need. But St. misses it here. He's forced back outside. Then the run kind of stalls out. You end up gaining no yards on a play like that. Obviously, you had this miss here to St. Brown. Now, this isn't something where I'm going to show you and be like, well, look what happened. How cool this play. It's not one of those, but instead, when I see this miss to Amon-Ra St. Brown and this incompletion, I know the talk has been like, what did the Rams do? Did they do something special to take St. Brown to the game? And I walk away saying, no, they didn't do anything special to take St. Brown to the game. First off, there were plenty of opportunities on the table for him to have a much bigger game receiving-wise, right? Whether that was we didn't go to him, but yet he was open on the play, which happened a few times. The big play to Jameson Williams, he was open. He got vertical over top. A play like this, that's incomplete. The LA Rams did anything special to take Amon-Ra St. Brown out of the game. And I didn't think the Lions actively were like, let's not get St. Brown involved. I didn't think any of that when watching this back. Number one, I thought Jameson rose to the occasion, so when Goff went there, he was able to trust that he was going to win one-on-one, and he did, which was awesome. That's a great problem to have. But on top of that, I thought just in general, the LA Rams just did a good job. Their linebacker room played really well. Again, they played with really good depth. They plastered routes underneath. And then coverage-wise, schematically, it wasn't like they were doubling St. Brown. They just did a lot of what worked last year, which is, again, cover 3 match, where you're carrying verticals in cover 3. Rather than just the outside guys, you're also going to carry that up the seam for your slot receivers as well. So I thought we got some of that match coverage. We got some things like that even from their cover 2 match, where they would match up coverage underneath. We did see things like that, but it wasn't like they were just straight up doubling Amon-Ra St. Brown. So it's like, he's not involved. That's what the Rams did. They took him away. Didn't feel like that whatsoever. He could have had a really strong stat line if we would have just connected on a few of the plays that we did not. But at the same time, there's really no concern that I walk away with this game. Now, with that being said, what I did like here, pass pro, individually, I thought there was a lot of good in pass pro. Not perfect, but a lot of good. Here you see Penei Sewell working on Braden Fisk. You see the recovery back inside, which was nice. Then you see Goff's eyes. And again, we looked at this one on Tuesday, and I thought maybe he was supposed to run the jerk route, and he didn't. Defensively, they're going cover 6 under here. So you basically get your one-on-one with the linebacker, which is typically what the Lions want, and he's going to park himself down. Part of me still feels like this was supposed to be a jerk route. It wasn't. He kind of hitched it down, and then he came out late, and that's why the pass was incomplete. But even with that being said, you can see Goff's eyes. He was trying to kind of look off the linebacker here to create a little bit of space so he could throw this down and away inside. St. Brown takes off. Goff kind of tries to no-look the linebacker, throws it, just misses the throw a little bit on that one. Pass falls incomplete. So again, plays like that, it wasn't that they took away St. Brown. It was just that we didn't connect on a few of those plays, and I don't have any concerns whatsoever. So on a play like this, here we go into the red zone. Lions basically are just kind of creating like, hey, one of these guys are going to be open on the plate. Now, again, they played it well on a play like this. The defense did. But you can see what the Lions were trying to set up here and where the opportunity was going to be. And when you look at Goff's eyes on this play, where he first starts off kind of looking into the flat, and then immediately his eyes go to this hitch route. And it was seemingly on this play like, hey, let me start to the flat. I'm expecting their flat defender to race out into the flat, take away St. Brown. And then we have our 2-on-1 where it's like, hey, either this outside corner is going to have to drop out and take Laporta, or he's going to have to step down and take Jameson, and then I got the corner route with leverage. The problem is the flat defender got out there pretty late. And Goff, again, being decisive, which was a big positive. We saw it on play-action plays. We saw it on swing routes. He was decisive. He said, okay, that's not there. So instead, you can see he's trying to fake the flat there, seemingly pull the flat defender down and then hit the hitch. He doesn't love it, so he's like, you know what? He's still kind of in that area. I'm going to go back to the flat and just hit the flat route. I don't want to wait too long where I get to the point where it's like, well, I can't throw either of them because I'm just standing here and I'm caught in no man's land. So I'm just going to throw the flat route. Now, it was all about St. Brown after the catch here, which the beautiful broken tackle on John Johnson. We end up picking up 4 yards. But again, a play like that was decisive, which I did like. It was, again, just kind of the coverage was a little bit late. It's all about timing. It was really weird kind of how that thing worked out. He could have probably held on to it and said, let me try to squeeze this into the hitch, but he was decisive and he let it rip, and I don't have a problem with that. Seemingly going to what kind of looks like a cover 0 with a couple of rats underneath, so you get manned up just like this, right? Safety's going to take the back. You get manned up here, and then you have your 2 players underneath who are going to sit, and they're going to pass things off underneath. And when you get a play like this, it's really about this safety right here that becomes the key, right? Because he's matched up on Saint, and when you watch St. Brown is going to run this dig route right here in the end zone. So you're going to get the flat where he's going to go first, then you're going to get this back of the end zone dig route, which is where the ball's going to end up going. But it's going to be about this Amon-Ra St. Brown on a play like this, because as you're going to see, because of the coverage they drop into, safety's going to take the flat. Goff doesn't go there. Now he comes to number 2, which is St. Brown. But because you have these 2 linebackers underneath passing it off, the window doesn't really create itself. It's not like one of these linebackers took away David Montgomery, so he was able to kind of have leverage there because they both kind of just sat underneath in zone coverage passing this off. When Goff gets to number 2, both the linebackers are sitting on this, and then you have the safety who's sitting over top, but because the linebackers are there, he doesn't need the drive on the ball. So Goff sees that and holds it, and when he sees the safety kind of sitting down underneath, he says, okay, now I'm going to get to basically number 3, but kind of number 2 on this play. I'm going to get to Laporta in the back of the end zone. And to me, that leads to the throw, which is Goff putting it high. If your linebacker who's across from Dave Montgomery at the snap takes the flat route and the safety then drops back into coverage, now all of a sudden you would have a open lane where Amon-Ra St. Brown can create kind of a 2-on-1 with that middle field safety basically on the play, because he either has to drive on St. Brown or Goff's just going to put it on him. Or if he does drive, he can go right behind him into the back of the end zone with, again, leverage. The issue is that the linebacker doesn't drop. Instead, the safety drives down and actually takes the running back. So the linebacker just stays in the middle of the field. So the only thing outside of that then Goff could have done at the snap is flip it completely to the opposite side and say, I'm throwing this corner route to JMO, or I'm throwing this whip route to Khalif one-on-one. However, staying through the progression here kind of got him into a weird spot. And I think I can kind of tell maybe why this ball didn't go in front of Laporta like we may have wanted to see it go, because it could have been an easier touchdown. One, the linebacker sitting in kind of that path forces the ball to go up. You can see it on the backside here for Jared Goff. He can't really just throw that directly in front because, of course, the linebacker sitting there unless he goes in front and above. But when you look at where Sam is on his route and he's kind of parking himself in the back of the end zone like that, he would have really had to wait for him to kind of clear a little bit further. And the issue with that is, one, where the safety is, the safety may continue to now work back over top through Goff's eyes because he continues to wait for that. And 2, he feels the pocket collapsing. Even though he may have had some time and probably could have just moved the pocket a little bit, he's standing in there and kind of has himself into pressure instead of moving away from it. Decisiveness from Goff here to see that, not like the underneath one and then say I'm getting to number 3 and also kind of protect my player on this play, but at the same time where this is where I flip to the opposite side where you could say, okay, it's not really there. This is where we can try to navigate beyond what we were trying to get to, right? We're staying on the left side of the field. We're going flat, then we're going in route, then we're going to the back of the end zone dig route. But if we get off of this and just say, you know what, it's not there, it's kind of a mess, let me go to the top of the screen and see if I can find a guy like Khalif Raymond here. Again, timing-wise, you're going to be late unless you get off of it now. So he kind of stuck within the progression a little bit, kind of forced it into the back of the end zone here, and the pass falls incomplete. And again, that's what it was early in the game. I thought as the game went on, that got a little bit better. But I just thought overall he stuck to his progressions in this one. He was very decisive, which is the positive. We just didn't find number 3 enough. So again, staying on the offense side of the ball, Rams are going to roll into this cover 3 look, utilize the motion, safety starts to roll down. Going to start with the wheel route, which again is where you could potentially create your 2-on-1 where it's like, hey, if this flat defender doesn't carry this out towards the sideline, we're going to have a big shot play, or the cornerback's going to have to drop out, and then I'll have Amon-Ra St. Brown in the deep curl. So he looks there first, sees that the wheel route, Jared Verse does the nice job, he carries it up the field. Now the open receiver would have been the check down on this play just because of how it worked out. You take the running back out of the play. The depth that the linebackers are playing with. The Lions had a lot of crossing routes, a lot of mesh routes over the middle of the field to kind of create some openings. That's what they were clearly looking to do in this game, and then possibly take advantage of the depth that these linebackers were actually getting here. So he doesn't like the wheel route. But again, I appreciate the decisiveness to then come back to Amon-Ra St. Brown, see the safety's positioning, and say, I'm going to get behind St. Brown in the play. I'm going to trust J-Mo's going to get behind him, and I'm going to let this thing rip over top. Now, Lake did a nice job of, even though he showed that he was possibly going to plant and drive and try to, as a single high safety, potentially get down on Amon-Ra St. Brown here, right here where he sits himself down. Instead of staying with that, he's up and then gets back over top here. Jamison Williams doesn't actually have kind of the wide open post that was potentially created. Again, I like the decisiveness. Say, I'm going to let it rip. I'm going to trust Jamison. I see the safety biting a little bit. I'm going over top. We're indoors. Why not? I think that's going to bode well for the Lions long term to have Goff's trust to say, I'm going to put up there to JMO. I'm trusting that you're one-on-one. You're going to win that matchup. I see the safety on the play. He's playing down a little bit. I'm going to get over top. I think that's going to bode well to really stretch and kind of open the field for the Lions because weirdly enough, a lot of the passes that we missed in this game weren't over top. They were underneath. It was a lot of the mesh routes, a lot of the crosses underneath. It wasn't over top and like, oh, we didn't take the shot there. I think that's going to bode well for the Lions because I trust that they'll open up and be more consistent underneath. But over top is where obviously you want to have the game-changing plays, and I thought the Lions' willingness to take those were great. Then you get to Ben Johnson, and again, I just thought schematically this was fantastic here. Again, based on what they're doing, they go into this cover 3 look. They match it up here, so again, you can see the slot's going to carry the vertical here with Lake. You can see the safety over Sam Laporta, and once you just basically pull everybody out of the play outside of your underneath defenders here, then you set up the running back screen. And even though this seems kind of basic when you're watching live, like, oh, okay, just a running back screen, you love the setup, though, to pull everybody out of the play, take what their tendency is to do defensively, and open up a massive path for Jahmyr Gibbs to just run after the catch on this play. As I touched on Kevin Zeitler, we showed a lot of flexibility in our run game, but here would be an example with kind of this 4-down front, which LA Ram goes to in short yardage situations. They're expecting to run, and you can see Kobe Turner here with the freakish lateral athleticism doesn't allow Kevin Zeitler to kind of reach on this block and get over top, so he spills it. Then you force kind of the cutback lane, so he kind of forces to blow and block and blows this thing up. So again, that's one of those things, and it showed up a couple times early. I was worried that it was going to be a trend, but it ended up not being really a trend in this game. He actually was able to be successful. He got off the ball pretty well later in the game. We went back to the zone plays, and he was involved. Now, with that being said, I did like the way that we handled these defensive ends, and I expect Penei Sewell to be dominant. We went behind him at the end of the game. He put the game in the end zone. I expect that, but it was Taylor Decker at the point of attack who I thought really showed up in this game. Here you see him at left tackle, kind of driving his man out of the play on the front side here. That was one of the guys that completely stood out to me was Taylor Decker, his run blocking, which again, we don't really talk about. We always talk about pass pro with him. Similar, kind of going through 2 reads on a play like this, but maybe falling off instead of going through the 3rd or kind of navigating beyond that on a play like this. And you can see the setup the Lions were trying to create here. They basically create a pick play for Jameson Williams on this 3rd down. So he's going to run the drag route. That's where the ball is going to go. They're going to utilize Laporta on kind of this little in route / post route over the play. And this is going to be the key here because John Johnson, they're going to seemingly go into a quarters look, and you're going to see him kind of step down on this play. And instead of like rolling down into a cover 3 look, he's going to stay here. So as St. Brown starts right here with Johnson, who kind of sits down on the route, he's going to stand in the way of Sam Laporta. So he's going to take that away. Then Goff gets to number 2, which is where they set up the pick play here with Khalif. They're basically going to kind of set the pick here, and then he's going to step his way through. Now, Khalif would have been open on a play like this. Again, we just kind of went through 1 to 2, and then we got off it. But the big credit goes to this linebacker right here, who did a nice job of, again, reading the route combinations rather than being just focused on the eyes and just passing things off. He was hyper aware in a game like this. So watch Goff's eyes here. He's going to start with John Johnson right here on the play, and you're going to see Sam Laporta break over the middle, and John Johnson's going to step down on it. He did a nice job on the backside of any quarters look of like, hey, I'm going to kind of lurk a little bit rather than just sitting here and floating. And because of that, he steps down in front of Sam Laporta. So now you don't have that read if you're Goff. So he gets away from that. Now he comes back to Jameson Williams as the number 2 to stay with the timing. So this is supposed to be the little pick here from Khalif.
Also, keep an eye on the opposite safety, Cameron Curl here, who's staying over top of Khalif Raymond. That becomes key later in this game to just see how the safeties are so aggressively playing over top because it leads to an open passing lane. Because, again, the Lions see this, they run crossing routes, and they know that the safety is going to be pulled out of the play. So just kind of keep that in mind.
Linebacker, though, hyper aware on the play. Watch him play this. Trying to set like a little natural screen here with Khalif Raymond. Again, this little mesh setup, but you can see him create depth. Then Khalif Raymond, who kind of steps in the way a little bit here. The linebacker completely reads it. He ignores it completely. He steps down in the play, sees Goff going through this crossing route, reads the route here, and he just steps down and takes this thing away. So I give a lot of credit to the way that their linebackers were playing. They've just had really good linebacker play, and I thought he played this at a super high level here where he's like, boom, on a number 2, I'm going there.
And obviously, Khalif Raymond opens up. But the issue the Lions are creating on paper is with 3 underneath defenders, the flat taken on the backside, that linebacker's passing this route to literally nobody. So Khalif was open, but it's playing into that like, hey, he's going to be a threat. And then when he runs by you, you can't just pass him off to nobody. But there's just no communication. He just steps down on this route. And maybe Goff could have sold it better.
Goff's already in the rhythm of this. If anything, maybe it's like, hey, pull it down and then try to come back to Khalif because obviously he's going to open up because you took the flat out of the play. The only guy you have to worry about is the backside cornerback, but in a quarters look like this, like he's not going to get there. However, you're stuck within the progression. You go 1 to 2, you throw it to J-Mo and it's broken up. It's a great play by the linebacker, and that's where I'll give him credit is just being prepared and being super aware in a play like this. From a personnel standpoint, outside of really one play where, well, you had the one that Khalif Raymond fell down, but another one where Khalif kind of stumbled and then Jameson Williams got held up on on a whip route. Outside of a play like that where it seemed like they covered us up pretty well, we got to see that the Lions have a lot of separators on the field. A lot of separators, right? We know Kalif Raymond gets open all the time. This guy's always open in man coverage. That's just what he does. And then you have a guy like St. Brown, who's usually open as well. He's going to run this deep route. He would have been open here again if the Lions wanted to. And maybe off this play fake, he would have been able to get there if he has time in the pocket. But pocket collapses. Boom, stun inside. He has to check it down to Dave Montgomery. Then you have Jameson Williams who's going to run this deep dig route. So they're running this setup offensively, and you can see that if you watch both those guys really separate on a play like this. So there's the play fake. Linebackers don't really bite. You can see the depth that they create once again here. They're handling business here, and this was kind of their, cover two, but they were kind of matching it, so they were carrying everything on a play like this. In their head, they're two deep safeties. They were just playing on top of everything. So St. Brown has leverage. He breaks his out route. You can see the separation. His man stumbles on the play. The ball could have definitely went there. We just didn't really have the time to get there. And then the dig route from Jameson Williams, I love how fast he was in and out of a break like this, right? So you run the flat, you pull the flat defender. Obviously, the linebackers within the play action are kind of, tempted to step down. So that's what they do. They step down here. And this would have been potentially your passing window for a guy like Goff. But again, you have the pressure step down inside. Frank Ragnall's late here because, again, he kind of steps down with the inside penetration. And then Jameson Williams, who I love it, like in and out of his break with a lot of speed, super efficient, would have had separation. But again, on a play like this, the pressure kind of throws everything off, and he ends up having to kind of check it down. Now, we end up getting something out of the play, but the big thing there for me was just seeing that, like, yo, you got separators on the field right now.
And as great it would be to have that big physical receiving body type that can also separate, especially level one, that'll just be something St. Brown has to take on his plate, and Sam Laporta will be incredibly valuable for early in the season because they'll line him in different spots for that big physical body. But it's also leaning into the skill sets of Jameson Williams, and you're seeing these routes that they're asking him to run, the corner route, the deep dig routes, the hitch and goes. These routes fit his skill set really well. It's not routes that he's uncomfortable with or routes that he's going to struggle to separate with. And on a play like this against this quarters coverage look, you're seeing how much respect the defensive backs and safeties have to give and give up ground that allows him to kind of roll through these routes. And he's getting in and out way faster, which is going to be incredibly difficult to break on these routes. So he's opened up a lot of that second level flexibility in his own way.
And when you really think about it, like if you look at it, you got Laporta, Kalif, Jameson Williams. Look at a play like this. Like this is a touchdown play. Everybody on the field can separate for you. Play like this, and clearly the Lions were trying to create a shot play, but it was nice to still see the decisiveness there. Like this was a designed shot play because you're going to get the hitch and go. You're going to get St. Brown, who also wins over top. I don't know why I wrote it like that. Just ignore whatever that was. Safety's going to step down. He's going to roll the top. So you get a single eye safety. You got one-on-one on the outside once you get that look. And as soon as Goff reads that, he's like, boom, I'm taking my shot. What I like, though, is with the safety rolling this direction, right? With the safety rolling to St. Brown's side, he looks that way, but he trusts J-Mo to go win one-on-one against their best safety in Tre'Davious White. And that's exactly what he does, because you're going to see when he throws this, it's not like Jameson Williams is already open on the play. He didn't see him open. He just trusted that he was going to go win. And my goodness, did he win on this play. And it was good because there was pressure off the top here from near Penei Sewell. So you watch on this play, Goff's going to go. It's a shot play set up all the way on the 3rd and short. Not having a ton of success just consistently completing underneath passes on 3rd and short. We're expecting they're going to be aggressive. They're going to go back to this match coverage. So we're just going to take a shot. We're going to exploit them because we're going to take a shot against one-on-one. We got one-on-ones to the outside. We're going to trust our guys to go win. And that's what we get. So Goff goes 5-step drop out of the gun. Boom, plants. Starts right. Sees the safety roll. As soon as he sees that, he's like immediately triggering. Like, all right, I got the one-on-one. And when you watch when he lets this ball go right here, you can see J-Mo. He's just coming out of the break. Ball's out. And he just creates a ridiculous amount of separation. Again, St. Brown also won on the top of the screen. So I don't have any concerns about St. Brown. Jameson Williams was winning, and the Lions and Goff were trusting it, and at the same time, they were making it happen. So it wasn't like there were bad things because it wasn't like he threw it to St. Brown. It was more so when he did throw it to St. Brown, they weren't connecting as often as, you usually expect, which is really the big thing that needs to kind of be dialed in there. Goff's willingness to utilize his legs, he definitely seemed like trust to be a little bit more creative, off script. Not everything had to be like, oh, I got to be stationary here. Again, you're going into this quarters look defensively, and the Lions are going to run the deep crossover with Jameson Williams, and you're also going to run the crossing route with St. Brown. And St. Brown's going to open up because this safety drives over here on Jameson Williams, and that's where you get the confusion. St. Brown's going to be open, and Goff seemingly is going to throw this pass. But again, just like the other one where it's like J-Mo created so much separation, his guy's kind of in the way. On a play like this, his guy's open. The issue is pocket collapses a little bit. Goff does his thing. He steps outside the pocket. He takes off, picks up a beautiful scoot first down, which is a nice read on the play.
This play is exactly why I said keep in mind that safety and how he's playing over the slot aggressively, because when Jamison takes off here, there is no switch on this play. He just rolls over top and he's completely locked in on Jamison Williams' speed and that threat. So that actually ends up pulling him out of the zone and leaving this route wide open.
But again, it's a very similar situation where it's like, hey, St. Brown would have been open, right? You run this deep crosser, you cross each other, you mesh it here at the top, and with the safety driving, with Curl driving on Jamison Williams, St. Brown's going to eventually clear open to a really wide open play. You run the clear out route clearly on the bottom of the screen with Khalif Raymond to open up this huge window. You have the sit down route to pull the linebackers back underneath. In this case, Quentin Lake, you sit him down. So now all of a sudden, you know, when you're looking at the sticks here, when you sit down Laporta with Lake, all of a sudden, like, there's nobody in this row. Nobody here. So Goff reads that, and you can see by his eyes here, like, he's going to let this thing rip. But again, feels some pressure, doesn't love it. It's really Fisk specifically, not really pressure as much as he's just kind of in his throwing lane. I would maybe like to see Goff step up and still be willing to let this thing go, but I'm not mad that he felt that, and he's like, I'm just going to take off and be decisive, because he was decisive and he trusted his legs. And then again, Laporta did his thing after when Goff took off. So still, while the ball didn't go there, he's getting open. It wasn't like Rams were doing something where it's like, St. Brown can't get open, deal with that. That wasn't the case. The ball just wasn't going there as often for whatever reason, and Goff's decisiveness, and again, a play like that allows us to still pick up a good gain. Back to the run game. Again, you love to see it. Counter pull. What did we talk about? Eye candy, right? Hesitate. Pause these linebackers. Well, the Lions did that with their counter runs. And again, even some of these that didn't work, whether that was a Hesse blown block or whatever it was, you could still see the setup was going to be there. Watch this. Hesse sells it well. They're going to go counter pull. Watch your linebacker right here. Watch how much he bites on this. Bam, just like that. So now you lose a player. The down block is beautiful. You see Penei Sewell with the down block, strong down block. You pull Graham Glasgow, who's a big-time athlete in space. So we see him pick up the beautiful block there. Hesse leads the way. Look at Sewell. He down blocks and sets up to the second level because of the counter. So you look at the run lane here before Gibbs even getting touched. That's the thing that the Lions offensive line was capable of doing in this game, which is beautiful to see. And then again, I'll show the pick one more time. Don't want to spend much time here because we've already shown this. The thing I don't have an issue with here is that reading the coverage, cover 6, backside cover 4. The issue is that maybe you look at what he was doing in the way that he was playing this, that this guy could be a real threat. Goff doesn't really even look at that. You get the hitch here. He pulls the linebacker by going to pump fake, and then he rips it here. The positive I like is, again, quick release. He's going to feel Kobe Turner get right in his face, and he's quick release, decisive to let that thing go. Unfortunately, it gets picked. It was, right in between both the guys, but it was like, boom, I'm going to let that thing go. Love how fast he gets the ball out. Don't hate the ball placement. The backside cornerback, the backside safety did a nice job because his eyes never went there, and he kind of lurked off the backside. Maybe next time you say, hey, we got to push Laporta vertical, even though we're going to pass it off here underneath, because we have to occupy the safety a little bit more. And that's something that, you can learn from. But I still love the decisiveness. And then easy in throws like this. Week 1 in years past, this wouldn't always look like this. Week 1 this year, reliable, cover 3 defense. You get the one-on-one, utilize the motion, dictate the coverage, safety rolls down. You got the one-on-one. You're on Kobe Durant. And it's St. Brown towards the field, which is nice because, again, week 1s in the past, these weren't always accurate. We'd miss these in front, that kind of, you guys know what I'm talking about. Miss them in front, receivers got to lay out. This one, boom, it's on time, on the money, anticipation throw, and you're right there. You can clearly tell that even without the preseason, the reps were there. It was just getting beyond the second progression consistently, which I think is something that I would like to improve. Here again, teams are allowed to do a good job too, and here they did a nice job, right? We talked about doing things like this. They did this a few times that had some success. They invert the cover 2 look here. So as you're going to see, the reason they do that is because this safety is basically going to play the flat. This safety is going to roll over top, play as that cover 2 safety. This is your other cover 2 safety, so they're splitting the field in half. That allows this cornerback to blitz, and this was their plan on early downs play action sets. Like, hey, we're going to blitz the corner. We're going to disrupt these play action sets. We don't want Goff comfortable because we know play action is going to kill us. So what do they say? Let's make it uncomfortable. Let's blitz it. That's what they did second half last year. That's what they did this year. They're going to blitz it. So this becomes your flat defender. Now, this would have been there, and the Lions didn't have a bad plan for it. They bring over Laporta to step in and block. Brock Wright is just late to block this cornerback right here. I don't know why I drew it like that, but he's late to pick up the cornerback. So as you're going to see, watch the play fake. Here comes Laporta on the motion. Laporta steps down, takes the edge rusher that slants inside because, again, you're getting a slant rush, which he's going to step right into Laporta. Now, Laporta actually had the blown block too. Laporta kind of blew this thing up as well. And then Wright's a little bit late here. But because of the setup, Goff sees the safety roll over top. You have your matchup here with Tre'Davious White. If he gets one more tick, this ball gets out. Again, I like the anticipation. He's letting this thing go before Jamison's already turned. And again, he would have been open because you push him vertical, you sit the route down, his vertical speed, he would have been open on the shot play. It just so happens that you just didn't get that extra tick of a second that you needed for that thing to happen. You had your near interception here, which again was very similar to what we saw earlier, which was, again, they go back into at their cover 6 look defensively. So you're going to have here quarters. He's going to stay with it, quarters, but he's going to play underneath. This safety's going to roll over top. The biggest thing to hear for me was, it was, again, the eyes from Goff, because as you're going to see, don't hate what he's doing. He sees the cornerback drop, safety dropping out. He knows that he has kind of that breadbasket shot on paper. The issue is there's no under threat, so the cornerback plays it well, and he just drifts on top instead of like just passing it off like you would on paper. He's going to drift with it because he doesn't have anybody to deal with. So Goff, again, decisive, lets it go, tries to hit that honey hole shot, and he has to throw it early because if he waits, you're just giving time for that safety to get over top, which is his responsibility. He has to throw this early, he throws it immediately to give himself some room to hit the sideline. He wants to put it on him. The issue is one, cornerback does a great job. He drops because there's no under threat, plays with good depth. He makes a ridiculous play on the football right here. I mean, this is not an easy play to make. He missed that a little bit. It's a beautiful throw. It's a huge gain for Goff. I love the decisiveness, and this was a drive before the touchdown. I just, again, would like in a spot like this, maybe the eyes could be better, right? We see the safety roll into that cover 2 look. So here, instead of like, let's go to the cornerback and let him see this, stay with the safety. Maybe we come back middle of the field before we play it, let that thing rip. But overall, again, Khalif would have been open, but I'm not going to be mad at the decision to say I'm going to let that thing throw. Maybe Khalif gets out to the flat faster, you pull that cornerback down. It was just having no under threat kind of left to that issue. Then when we needed it the most, when it matters the most, what did the Lions do? They take everything that they've learned and they throw it out there on the field, and it is beautiful to see the way that a play like this comes together. Utilize the short motion, safety now rolls down into the box, so now you know, oh, bang, okay, cover 3, look, there's a single eye safety. Then on top of that, you go right back to that side where this safety has to roll to. So your safety rolls down, right? You saw him right here. So now the safety's got to roll to the opposite side because now he's your center field safety, which means that you have room to attack opposite, which is kind of what they did with J-Mo, right? Last time they went with J-Mo because safety was going here. This time they're just going to throw a really quick pass with quick depth from Laporta to break this off as soon as he gets behind that second level and let this thing go. Then you see Goff's eyes here, again, decisive. He reads the safety early, then he sees the back, so he's going to utilize the back. This is where I like his eyes. His eyes were good here. Stares at the back, no looks this. Again, and now you open that window. He creates the window and throws a beautiful pass to Laporta. Then you get the flag, which sets it up afterwards. So, again, there were improvements I thought needed to be made, but when it mattered most, they took what they learned and they implemented it, and Goff delivered, and we were able to make it happen. And then we just leaned on the run game. I'm not even going to show the overtime plays because we've seen them now over and over, but instead I'll show this one just so, again, the flexibility. How about a pin pull look? And it's just beautiful. Penei Sewell's going to kick out here, and you're going to see this linebacker's going to race downhill. So when he races downhill, Penei Sewell has to quickly get out of his stance and adjust so he can seal this thing off. You're going to get the down block here from Khalif Raymond, and then you're going to see guys working up to the second level. So keep an eye on this backside linebacker. Multiple times where, you know, our running backs are incredible, but we still had multiple opportunities where it was like, hey, again, look at Frank Ragnall's athleticism. Zeitler with the seal down block. Ragnall's athleticism at linebacker. Look at what you end up with here. Laporta out in space, way better blocking this time than last year. You have a one-on-one with the safety. Now, it's a great play by Curl, but this is what you want. You say, hey, if I can get a one-on-one with the safety with these running backs, that's the matchup I want all day. And he's got that. It just so happens that, hey, safety made a nice play in space. But if that's the thing that we create, if we're creating a lot of that, oh my goodness, this run game is going to be really good because that's the matchup you want. Those will eventually break because our running backs are too talented for that not to happen. And then again, I hate to end on a play that's incomplete, but even on a play like this, decisive, and he reads it. He sees the linebacker take the running back out of the flat, so he knows immediately, okay, this zone is clear. I can hit St. Brown on the slant. It just so happened that we didn't connect. You know, we get 2 of these plays that connect, and all of a sudden you look at a stat line, like, yeah, St. Brown did what St. Brown does. It just didn't happen, and that's okay because it's still there. And even on a play like this, he separates from Lake. It just so happens that he slips. Again, Goff is already throwing the pass. I don't even know if he can see it because the linebacker's crossing the face, so he may have already just been into that windup, and he's like, oh, dang, I already let that thing rip. Again, you would like to see, like, okay, hey, maybe pull this down and throw it somewhere else. But the read makes sense because, again, if you wait here, the read's not going to be there. The timing's now going to be off. And they're going back into that cover 2 match look, which is we're 2 deep safeties, but everybody else is playing man coverage underneath. Everybody's manning this thing underneath. Yeah, you could have thrown it to Laporta, but again, he's got to pick one. It's not like he could throw the both. So as soon as he sees the linebacker, you know, take the running back, he knows that's vacant, that's there, 2 deep safeties, I'm letting that thing go. And he's got to throw that on time. It just so happens that St. Brown fell. But again, you could see that the plays were there to be made. Sometimes we just didn't make the plays, and that's okay. St. Brown wasn't taken out of the game. The Rams did a nice job of leaning into cover 3 match, which we said was going to happen. We said they were going to do it. My biggest positive is, hey, you are passing and having success without having it be St. Brown or really even Laporta. You allowed Jamison Williams became that guy. Khalif didn't even get the football, but yet you still see plays where he's separating. The Lions showed that they had a lot of separators. And the Lions' biggest issue over the last few years has been beating teams that can play man heavy, that can just go one-on-one with you. Because now you're relying on really good ball placement. You're relying on guys being able to separate. And for years, I think that's been a work in progress, is finding different guys that can separate. St. Brown can separate. But when teams truly take away St. Brown and they focus on that, or you have a really good matchup that they like, who else can win? And it wasn't just that Jamison was like, off schedule, he's wide open. On schedule, Jamison Williams was winning, and that was awesome to see. And the other guys will. It just so happens that we didn't connect a few times. Some of that's on Goff, some of that's on not making the play as a receiver. But overall, I thought it settled in. The pass protection settled in. We had a little bit of trouble with some of the stunts, but again, that's just the pass rushers they have. The game plan was clear. Get the ball out of your hands, and Goff clearly had a mental clock where sometimes like, hey, you could probably wait a little bit. And he's like, nope, I'm throwing that thing. And it was like, okay. But the eyes got a little bit better when we needed it. I think that continues to improve. But I think a lot of things were good here, and you got to read between the lines and say, I really liked how decisive Goff was, but I also liked that he trusted his mobility and also at the same time how quick his trigger was. Like, he wasn't unconfident to let that thing rip. Really, the connection between him and J-Mo is already there, which in the past it wasn't always consistently there, right? Even go back to the San Fran game when he took off. That big crossing route was well behind him, and he had to tip it to himself and pull it down. You can tell those guys have put in work, and that bodes well going forward. And then obviously the offensive line. It's going to be a problem for teams, it's as expected, and that's fantastic. I mean, Zeitler might have some limitations in certain spots, but I do like that he was able to have some success in some of the zone plays that we did get to, and clearly you can kind of just change the pace with him. And obviously Ben Johnson does a great job. He's always creative. We didn't show all the creative plays. We showed some of those on Tuesday if you want to check that out. But outside of just the creativity, they learn, they find ways, and they just continue to adapt. And it takes 60 minutes, but you got to find a way, and they found a way. So with that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Brad, for watching, and I'm out.